let me ask you, working with John Wells.
Yeah.
I really think he is really brilliant. I think he's great. How much do you learn from a guy like John Wells, or are you guys more like contemporaries together, where you get together and you both have great ideas?
Well,
and
we're
stuff,
contemporaries because you know how we met, right?
No, I don't know the story with you and John Wells.
We grew up 6 blocks away from each other and went to the same elementary school in Denver, Colorado.
Really?
So when people say, "How do you break into the business?" I say, it isn't for me by writing spec scripts. It's
Go to school with
John Wells.
Okay.
Yeah, he was always the stage manager of all the plays we did in high school. So I went to school in the Cherry Creek School District in Denver, Colorado, and John and I went to Holly Hills Elementary School together. And he and I have been friends. I've been friends with his 2 siblings, his parents, for many years, since we were 9. And so when I was out here after film school at AFI, I ran into John in a grocery store. Literally, our carts almost hit, and we said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it's like, "Oh, I just got out of AFI, and I'm trying to direct, and I'm writing and directing an after-school special for ABC. What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm doing China Beach."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I'd love to get into dramatic television, as well." And he goes, "Okay, well, come by." So I came by, and he gave me a script. And that's how I got started. And I wrote a script for China Beach.
Can we know John Wells?
Yeah,
Is
John still in school? And if so,
right.
where at?
Right, where at? We have the money to sign
he
he just directed August Osage.
Yep, with George.
And then, so what's really great is, I did
Tracy
China Beach.
Letts.
That's right.
Tracy Letts, yeah.
I did China Beach. I got nominated for a Writers Guild Award. I lost to John Sacred Young, who ran the show, thank God, because you don't want to beat the showrunner. And then I said, my son was born. I was getting a little antsy. I don't know if I'm going to make it. John and I sold a pilot to NBC. I still was freaking out. I said, I got to go back to school. So I went to medical school. So my wife and son and I moved back to Boston, went to Harvard Medical School, 4th-year medical student, get a call from John. "Neal, I got this script that was found in a trunk, literally in Spielberg's office. Spielberg's owned it for I don't know how many years. Michael Crichton wrote it in 1969 when he was at Harvard Medical School. This is now 1994, 25 years later. Read it, see what you think." I read it. Boom, I said, "John, it's like my life, only we don't have those antibiotics anymore, and we don't use glass IV bottles." He said, "Well, if it goes, the network hates it. But if it goes because Michael and Steven are attached, will you work on it with us? Because we want real stories, want real life." I said, "I'm there. I'm only $150,000 in debt from medical school." "Sure, bring me in."
Okay.
So I went there in May of
And
1994.
adjust that for inflation.
Yeah, 1994 in May. Go there. I remember it so clearly, going to the Warner Brothers lot. And I just fell in love with the show. I was supposed to be there for 2 months. I went to John and I said, "John, I'm loving this. Can I stay?" And he goes, "Neal, you can stay. There are no guarantees." This was in August. The show hadn't premiered. He said, "We may be on for a couple weeks." And then I said, "That's okay, because Harvard will say, you can come back whenever you want."
Sure.
So it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
The show took off unbelievable. The highest rated show in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And I stayed for 7 years, and I went back and forth to Boston to medical school during hiatuses, and then I did my residency at Children's Hospital LA over 7 years. I used to hide in the closet and give notes on SVU, and the nurse would open the door to get some bandages, and she'd say, "What are you doing?" And I'd say, "Just close the door." So it's leave me alone. So I'd go one time I was doing a rotation at County USC. I was poking little babies for blood from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then I'd race to Venice to do my pilot called Outreach with Rob Estes, Keith Carradine, and Min Na. And then we'd shoot, and then I'd race to ER in Burbank. And then I'd go to sleep for a few hours. Then I'd be back at County USC. And then I'd do my call nights on the weekend when we weren't shooting. So I'd trade with everybody. Everybody wanted me to take their weekend call, and I can remember sleeping in this room that was 10 feet by 6 feet in a bunk bed, and there were roaches everywhere, and it's in the hospital, but I'm sure they've cleaned it up by now, and thinking, what am I doing? But that was only for a month. I made it. And
I bitch about my schedule tiring me out.
I don't know how I did it.
That is one of my favorite stories I've ever heard on this show. Not only that, we were just talking outside about all these people that claim they're ambitious and shit.
Right.
That's ambition.
That's really
that is ambition. That is owning yourself. that is looking in a mirror, that's doing, that is taking responsibility for yourself.
Well,
That's great.
People's ambition today might match that in energy, but they also have to let you know how hard they're working.
He
and
didn't
how
have
tough
time to
it
let.
is,
He didn't have time to let.
and
No.
how
It
tough
was
it
fun.
is.
I would just still get stories. Crazy things happen.
How do you balance the personal life with that kind
Well,
of
my son
schedule
said
at
to
the
me
time?
when he was 11, when I finally finished, he goes, "Oh, Dad, you've been on call my whole life." I was like, "Oh, I better change
When
that."
he's dropping the jargon on you,
You
you're
came in to
trouble.
use the bathroom and you were asleep, standing up in the shower
That's right.
while writing down ideas.
So you were doing the Noah Wiley on the pilot or the 3-hour naps before, that's all you would get.
Power naps.
Right. They would do the doctors that do the power naps.
Yeah.
That's
which
right.
by the way, when I watched the pilot ER and I saw that the doctors get like 3-hour power naps, I'm like, I don't know if that's so good.
But that's changed. Since
Has it?
since I finished in 2001 or 2, now there are laws where you can't go for more than, I think, 32 hours or something like that.
Okay.
You cannot. I mean, I would go at 5 in the morning, be on call that night, admit 16 children onto the ward, lose my mind, pray, have all the other kids on the ward, do dictation,
Then coffee
not
break.
finish, no coffee break, no
Really?
sleeping in the
How much
anywhere.
coffee do you drink?
I
Were you
still
big-
drink a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
I
man,
still
I got
drink
to
a lot.
imagine.
Yes,
And then,
little.
and then you would talk to you'd always have some weird person who'd show up in the middle of the night. I remember there's this woman. No, this is a good story.
It's the other
I remember
two.
there's this woman who would try to sell, really young and cute, try to sell us insurance as residents when I was a resident. That became Julie Bowen on ER.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you used
her
it,
first
yeah.
one of her
Used
first roles based on this woman who would because she would get us when we were very vulnerable, sleep deprived, and come in, look great, and say, "You really need life insurance." It's like, okay, whatever you say.
He kept running into the same two identical twin girls standing in the hallway who told him to come play with them.
Oh,
And they had a script for him.
That became she became one of Noah Wiley's flings on ER.
That's right. That's right.
Julie
man.
Bowen.
That's
That's
right.
a great story.
Yeah.